welcome to the Homemade Mother. My name is Jasmine, and this is my channel. So today I wanted to do something hands-on since I feel like I really haven't done anything yet, even though that's my full intention of like this whole channel. So I figured Christmas is just around the corner. Don't forget, I love Christmas. And so I thought I would show you guys how to make a wreath for Christmas. I actually work at a flower shop when I'm not on camera for you guys. So I thought I would bring some of those floral skills to life today and tell you / show you how to make a Christmas wreath. And I basically didn't spend any money on this, mostly because a lot of the supplies I already had because I love crafts and making stuff. So most of this I had in my house, but a lot of it you can get for really, really cheap. I'm gonna go over all the supplies first, and then we'll jump into like how to do this. So first of all, you need some sort of wreath. I chose a grapevine wreath just because I wanted the natural look of the wood, or there's other like white wood or the foam. Like literally any of that would work. You just have to add more detail onto it or make a full wreath. So I'm only gonna do a half wreath because I really like the look, and that's why I picked the grapevine, was so that I could have that wood look. This I literally got from the dollar store for $1.25, so you can get it really cheap. But again, I had this in my house, like I've had it forever, and I've been meaning to do a wreath and I just haven't had time. You'll also need some shears. Again, I work at a flower shop and I love flowers, and I garden, and yeah. Basically, I have these because I use them all the time, like literally all the time. You'll also need a regular pair of scissors because your shears are gonna be really, really sticky and you're gonna need to snip some stuff. As decoration, I got some branches. I literally just plucked these up. I was like pruning a bush and I just grabbed some of the branches. I also have some wire. This is floral wire. It's super flexible. Again, I got this at the dollar store. I do have actual floral supplies, but I don't have them in my house right now, which is kind of ridiculous. I also have twine. I got this from the dollar store too. Like literally most of this is from the dollar store if it's not from my backyard. So twine to actually attach. And I pulled some cute little pine cones off of a little bush in our yard. I love them. They're so cute. And I have 5 of them. I'm thinking that I wouldn't use more than that. I might only use 3, but I have 5 just in case. And then I have some little berries from the dollar store that I'm debating whether or not I'm going to attach. I want to see what they look like. So I thought I would just try it out today. I have gloves because all of this is really pokey and gloves really help. I have 3 types of needle branches. I've got some pine. This isn't like the really intense pine. This is like black wood pine or something. And this is a pine bush. I don't remember what it's called right now. I'm literally blanking. I should know this. And this is juniper. I really love the look of juniper, so I'm gonna use this the most. And these are kind of just gonna be background filler to add more to it, just because I really love the color of this. And this stays like green for a long time, even out of water. So love it. I'm gonna use a lot of it. But those are the 3 different types of pine. And now you don't have to have 3 different types. You could have 1 or 2. But I liked the different texture looks of all 3 of the pines, which is why I wanted them. And I literally went into our backyard and like just snipped a few branches off of some trees and some of the bushes we have. I just pulled bits and pieces. I didn't pay for these. I also live out in like a forest. So if you don't live out in a forest, you can get this from a flower shop. And actually, I'm sure like our flower shop that you could do a workshop where you make a wreath yourself. But if you don't want to do that / you don't want to pay the money, I'm going to show you how to do it, and we're going to have some fun. So let's get to it. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna put my gloves on because this stuff is super pokey and I have delicate hands. So we're gonna take our shears and I'm just gonna look at the branches and see if I can see a nice little piece, because obviously this wreath is not very big. So if I look at this, if I was to put this on, it'd look like really wonky and kind of go crazy. Whereas if I was to take just this little piece, it would be a much nicer size. So if I take this, this is gonna fit on a lot better than the other piece. And that's kind of what you're gonna look for / do. You wanna find a bunch of nice little pieces that you can get from each. So you're kind of gonna just trim down and find some pieces. So that's what I'm gonna do, is look through all of these and get some nice little pieces that I think will work. And then we'll go from there. Okay, now as you can see, I took off any pieces that didn't look so great, like pieces that looked kind of dead or had some weird stuff on it. I just wanted to trim those off because they're not gonna look super pretty in my wreath. Now I actually think I have way more than I need for this little wreath to only do half of it, but that's okay because I just might make another one after this. But for now, we're just gonna do the one. Now there are 2 tricks that will make this a lot easier for you. The first one is wherever your end is, you wanna pull off the little bits because it's a lot easier to work with when you have some room to hold on to. That way you can easily hold on to the bottom and add more pieces together. The second trick is, instead of attaching every single piece by piece onto the wreath, what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna make little bundles. So we're gonna take a few pieces, and what you wanna do is take a little bit of each and kind of tuck it in together so that you get a little variety. And then you're gonna wrap it all up and you're gonna have little bundles that you're gonna work to then attach to your wreath. Now your bundles can be as big or as small as you want. I'm gonna make my bundles bigger because I want the base of it to be really bushy. So I'm gonna add more juniper because I really love the way it looks. And like I said, I'm gonna use the others 2 to kind of create that full look in the back. And you can attach either from the front or the back. Now I think that looks pretty full. Now I have my pieces. I'm gonna strip each and every one of them and then I'm gonna bundle them together because right now there's not a lot of room for me to bind them. But if I take a little bit off, there's gonna be space down here where I can easily attach them all together. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, now that I've got some room on the bottom of each of them, I'm gonna stick them together in the way that I think works the best. Now I wanna try and make sure that it's like equal on both sides. I do want it to be a little bit fuller on the one side than the other side, but I don't want it to be too uneven. So when I'm looking at my pieces, I wanna make sure that I'm arranging them in such a way that it's equal spacing. And just pick anything that looks funny off. I also want to make sure that I'm adding in variety. and not covering too much up. So I'm gonna stick that one right there. And I want, if this is my front, I want to make sure that I'm not sticking the branches like this, because if I stick it like this, you're going to really notice the branch, which isn't as pretty. But if I stick it like this, you're going to actually get that leaf-like look. So I'm going to stick them all together, make sure that they are bushy in the way that I want them to be. If I feel like it's lacking on like a certain side, like right now it looks a lot fuller over here than it does over here, then I would just take some more and take off any stuff so that you can hold the bottom. And I'm gonna stick it in so it looks full. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my floral wire and I'm gonna attach it around the bottom where I pulled off all that stuff. I'm gonna wrap it around a few times to make sure it's nice and tight, and then I'm gonna twist it. And I like to twist mine quite tight. I kind of give it a little wind. That way it tightens up really well. And then when I feel like it's tight enough that I can't really wiggle it around, I chop it off, fold that piece down, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach it onto our wreath. And I normally would use bind wire, but I actually don't have any bind wire in my house right now. So I'm just gonna use some twine. I'm gonna cut a little piece off of it and I'm gonna wrap it around. And I wanna try to do this a few times to really keep it tight. And then when I wrapped it around a couple of times, I wanna knot it twice to make sure it's really secure. And then I trim the ends. Now I actually have a few bundles that I've made. And what I want to do with these bundles is we're going to do a half wreath. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach them on either side. We're going to put some on this side and then one on this side. That way I know how much I'm filling, and then I'm going to work my way down to the middle. And once we get to the middle, I'll show you what we're going to do. So I'm going to make a few more bundles, and then we're going to put them all on the wreath, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, I have 6 bundles. I think that's going to be enough to cover this. Oh no! So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually going to take my wreath and I'm gonna kind of lay out each of my pieces to see how it looks. Now the fuller pieces I'm gonna put at the top and gradually work my way down into less full bushes. And I'm just gonna see how it looks by sticking them all together. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I like how it's turned out. I'm gonna attach them all and then I might add a few extra pieces, but I think overall I like how this has turned out. So I'm once again just gonna take some strips of twine and I'm gonna attach all the pieces. Let's close that before we cut ourselves. And again, make sure that when you're attaching, that you attach it really tightly and always double knot. Now that we have our two pieces on either side, we're gonna add pieces on top and we're gonna make sure that we cover the twine. So we're going to make sure that it's covering over top of it and we're gonna go on side to side to make sure that we cover all of it and don't get this weird look. Okay, so just like before, we're gonna take our twine. I've already pre-cut all these pieces and it's falling over. Okay, we're gonna wrap it around and again, make sure it's nice and tight. Now we're on to our last piece. And what we're gonna do with it is we're gonna make sure that we cover all the other bits. So I like to do it so that it's tucked in the back so you don't see the branches. And I'm just gonna tie it behind this other piece so that it's tucked in. So we're gonna take our twine and tuck it behind all of this other stuff and tuck that branch back there. Okay, so we got our last piece on, and now if you notice there is this big gap right here, whereas all the other ones have a little bit of stuff going on. I'm just gonna take a couple extra branches and put them down there to add into our make it a little bit more full, and I just got stabbed. Now make sure to trim off all of your ends so they're not sticking out. Don't want that. Okay, so this is what it looks like with a little extra string. I like it, and now I'm going to add in my branches, and I'm just going to tuck these guys in because if I sneak them in right, they're going to be really secure without me having to actually attach them on. And I like to make sure that I don't like stick them right beside each other. Like I want to kind of keep them separate and space them out. And if there's any extra bits, just chop them off on the back side. We got our branches in. keeps sticking out. Got our branches in. Now any pieces that are sticking out, I'm either gonna tuck them in or I'm gonna chop them off to make sure that they're not sticking out. Now we're gonna add our pine cones. Now with our pine cones, you wanna take the bind wire, floral wire, and wrap it around the edge and twist it together so that now you can take this wire and stick it in. And I'm gonna weave it into the grapevine so that I can tuck it through on the other side. I'm gonna try to hide it as much as possible and wrap it around to make sure it's nice and secure. And I've already wound all of these guys, so I'm just gonna put them on. So we got all our pine cones on. It's looking pretty good. I like it so far. But I'm gonna add in some berries to make it a little bit more Christmassy. I'm just gonna poke them into the branches and hope they stay. And yeah, I got these guys from the dollar store, so nothing fancy. But I like the pop of red. And I'm gonna try to use the berries to fill up any holes. And there we have it, a Christmas wreath. I really love this. It's super simple and it has lots of texture to it because it's got all of the different variations, and it basically cost me nothing. And it looks so beautiful. I can't wait to hang it on our door and get ready for Christmas. If you liked this episode, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more of these videos, subscribe. If you have any questions about how to make the wreath or anything that I did today, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your feedback and hear any questions and answer them. Also, when you are dealing with all the pine stuff, if you find that they're really sticky and sappy, the best way to get rid of the sap is to actually rub your hands in oil. I usually do olive oil, but you can use any oil to get rid of the sap. It works way better than soap and water, and then you can always just rinse it off afterwards. But if you find that your hands are getting really sticky during this little wreath, that's a great way to get rid of it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys next week. Bye for now.